first big question is, of course, money. For years now, the board has sought to limit annual increases in spending to an amount that could be funded by levies of fewer than 10 mils, no more than every 3 years. As state and federal funding has grown increasingly inadequate, both through actual cuts and through unfunded mandates, and as expenses have grown, especially in areas like healthcare benefits and now maintenance of facilities without bond issue funding, it's getting harder to avoid truly painful choices. There were significant reductions in headcount in 2007 and again in the past school year. We have kicked spouses off the health plan when they have another option. We have outsourced our food operations. We've pinched pennies in lots of little ways, and most recently we were able to negotiate a 3-year contract with our teachers that all but freezes their salaries. These steps enabled us to delay our last levy by a year and promises to help us weather the economic crisis without dismantling the programs that in many ways define our community. But none of us should be comfortable with what our teachers have agreed to. Grateful, yes. Comfortable, no. Teachers are the heart of any school, and while I believe it is possible to find agreement with our teachers to pay them in marginally more efficient and effective ways, everybody should understand that Shaker teachers are already far from the best paid in the area, and nobody should imagine that we can solve our financial challenges on the backs of our employees. Good teachers, like all good employees, want to see their incomes rise over time, and unlike many jobs, teaching is one that cannot be automated to increase efficiency. Bottom line, and a key focus of the board for the next 4 years, and perhaps for a much longer time to come, is what to do about the fact that without dramatic changes in other revenue sources or expenses, 80% of which are employee salaries and benefits, the next levy is likely needed in 2013, even though the board takes very seriously the Mayor's Finance Task Force's call to try and find a way to delay it to 2015. Another key issue for the board in the next 4 years will remain succession planning. The board has made succession planning a priority and considers this to concern the entire administrative team, including building principals, as well as persons working in central administrative offices. We have worked with the superintendent to review the experience level and future potential for members of the district administrative team to ensure that current employees receive opportunities to groom and to move into available positions, and recruit talented professionals with outside experience to help energize our broader pool of administrators. Specifically, since it's on everybody's minds, Superintendent Dr. Freeman has served this district well through more than 2 decades of great changes. He currently has a contract to serve as superintendent through June 2013. The board is committed to working with him to reach a mutual understanding about an eventual transition to a new superintendent, but the timetable will depend on his contract as well as the somewhat unpredictable course of a national search for a successor. The board has not yet voted on whether to seek a new or an extended contract with Dr. Freeman. I, as one board member, do not want to speak out of turn about a matter that's typically handled in executive session. But as the saying goes, any of us can be hit by a bus tomorrow. Dr. Freeman was hit by a truck a few years ago while riding his bicycle. Thank goodness he recovered, but it underscores to me that the board needs to remain focused on succession planning. Beyond all of this, I hope the board in the next 4 years can make room for some really big questions, like those surrounding technology, regionalization, and the whole child. Specifically with respect to technology, this is the year of the tablet or the e-reader, and there are now some complete open source course curricula that have been approved in major adoption states like California and Florida. Are we ready to start moving toward electronic course materials? Also, many of our students already take and are encouraged by their counselors to take some courses online. How far should that go? And what implications does it have for the way we define the school day and the school year? Are there also opportunities to rethink intervention and remediation? How can the board best support efforts to explore and leverage emerging best practices in everything from classroom technology to student internet access and devices to social media and many other issues that we're not even aware of yet? With respect to regionalization, the Brookings Institution has told us that Ohio has 50% more school districts than we should, and the same financial pressures that are driving the city to explore merging the fire department with University Heights push schools to ask these same questions. We do a lot of collaboration, including purchasing through a cooperative group that lowers costs. And I believe we have to protect the community's desire to have its schools remain distinctive. I don't think our citizens trust that that would be possible if we were folded into a Cuyahoga County school district, for example. But clearly we need to look for more opportunities to share our work with neighboring communities in the name of efficiency and effectiveness. Finally, the whole child for me is shorthand for the many issues that to me all boil down to a concern about what we as a society are doing to prepare our children for the future. Many are worried about the scaling back of music and art, which Shaker significantly has not done. As a nation, we're worried about student nutrition and health, overexposure to technology and media, underexposure to nature. We're worried about inadequate preparation for the future and grinding workloads with no clear purpose. Some of you who may have, has anyone here seen Race to Nowhere? A couple of you did. I actually haven't seen it yet, but I wrote a lot about it. And I personally think we need to explore what we're trying to accomplish with our approaches to homework and grading. We know that some of the biggest challenges we face in increasing student achievement lie outside the school, in preschool and home, as was discussed, and again in the health, safety, and well-being of our students. I actually think Shaker has done a nice job of taking a balanced and realistic approach to all of this in the face of the accountability and funding pressures that have driven PE, art, and music, for example, out of too many other schools in America. But these questions need further attention, and as you might infer from what I've said here, more clarity. So that's what I think, that's who I am, that's what I've been doing, that's what I think we need to focus on in the next 4 years, and I welcome questions.